Hello, Planet Earth. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You're at IDK, my BFF Jill, 730. I'm Preston Young, and today we're going to do another Buffy discussion. Just to let you know, these Buffyverse discussions are just kind of to put the world in context for you if you're kind of away from the Buffy comic books and you're trying to get into it, or if you just like, my explanation on how the Buffyverse kind of works. But today we are going to be talking about the most diverse and hard to put down and really the most dangerous characters or group of like a species of characters within the Buffyverse. And they are the humans. And I really just want to get into what the humans are, what they mean, and why it is that they do what they do. And so just a little natural history on the Buffyverse. So our reality kind of sprouted from this other reality's kind of just a spillover from some other reality. And so our universe kind of blossomed out of this one point of spillover, which is the Seed of Wonder. The Seed of Wonder is magical in nature, and its magic created reality as we know it. And so it's important to remember that the Buffyverse is supposed to be our universe. It's kind of like the Buffyverse exists within the 616, like our world. And so it's kind of really played up. You're supposed to get that what's happening in Buffy's world is really what's happening in our world, and we're just not seeing it until we get to season 8 and people do see it. But that's important to remember. And so the Earth, once it was created, the first highly sentient beings that it produced were kind of the extreme polarized versions of reality. There were the first demons, which we call the Old Ones, and essentially these godlike beings, these benevolent beings of supreme power. And so what happened was there was all of this really awesome power just emanating from everywhere on the world because you only had these two polar extremes. You have the Old Ones, and then you have what will become the powers that be, these kind of gods. And so there's this constant war between the demons and the benevolent forces, and eventually the Old Ones kind of overrun the earth, and the powers that be ascend onto a higher plane to escape our world. And so even though they ascend to a higher plane, many of them are like ever watchful over the earth. And so that is how they kind of affect things on our plane of reality, because they are the powers that be. So they have, the characters that get visions, and you have people like Angel who are their champions, etc., etc. And so Jasmine explains to us that after a fashion, the Earth actually produced something that was a highly sentient being, but was neither good nor evil. And it had a soul, and these are the humans. The thing about being a demon is they all kind of have their purpose. They all kind of have like their motive, their modus operandi, whatever. And they have a purpose, like they fulfill something. And then you have the powers that be, which are kind of all kind of doing good. And humans are somewhere in between there. We are mortal beings, but we have an immortal soul. And we therefore have this kind of free will. We aren't tied to any one religion. We aren't tied to any one purpose. Like humans have their own lives and their own worlds to worry about. And so what happens is, humans, they obviously evolve, and, they build weapons, and eventually they learn to wield magic. And this allows them to really, between their weapons and armies and their magics, they're able to drive the Old Ones under. And so what's important to remember is that humans rule the earth. We rule the earth. If you think about in True Blood, when they talk about we own the day, we do. We own the entire day. And you can look at the Buffyverse and disagree, but we own the night too. The world is ours. Humans rule the earth. When Illyria is resurrected, she's an old one. It's an old one. It can't believe that humans have even made it this far, that we've evolved this far. Wesley talks about having nightmares, and Illyria says something to the effect that nightmares used to walk around like they were living sentient beings, and now they're trapped inside the heads of humans because humans, each one of us, has taken a tiny piece of this reality and made it our own, and so there's no kind of unifying extreme or platform that we can get to be on. But that's the thing. We all have our own things that we're trying to do. Humans are always trying to figure out how their own story is going to end. Or we're always plotting our own ideas, our own scenarios, our own plans. We've all got our own agendas. And sure, there are unifying ideas that we have, or religions, or political spheres, but really every individual has their own hopes and dreams, etc., etc. And so this is essentially what makes humans really dangerous, because we can choose to be good or we can choose to be evil. I mean, you look at the lawyers at Wolfram and Hart, yeah, they have some demon lawyers, but the majority of them are human. And they know exactly what they're signing up for. They know exactly what they're getting into at Wolfram and Hart. They know what its job is. They know what their job is, and it's Evil Incorporated. And they are the faces of evil. But that's the thing about the Buffy universe. Every human has their own choices to make. And they have the free will and kind of the blessing to do so. Because at the end of the day, it's your soul. Demons like Anya. Okay, Anya chose to become human. Or to become demon, rather. There's a place, I'm assuming it's like within our actual planet, but I don't know if it's on another plane or what it is. But it's called Arashmahar, and that is where humans are made into demons. Because essentially that's how it's done now. Like, the old ones are all pretty much dead and gone. We have Illyria. I don't believe Illyria is really dead because old ones don't die the way that we do. So even though we're led to believe that Illyria is dead down in the deeper well, I doubt it. I think Illyria is around. but But yeah, there is a place where humans are made demon, and that's pretty much how it is now. Like the vampire, for instance, we'll get into that. And so there are ways for demons to become human and humans to become demon. But like Anya, she's got a job to do. She is a vengeance demon when she's a vengeance demon. And she has a specific thing that she has to do. She has to grant wishes that are rooted in vengeance. And so that's what she has to do. Whereas humans can choose what jobs they have. You can go into any profession. You, at the end of the day, are responsible for your actions. You can't blame it on being a demon, Anya. And yes, there are demons with souls. It's kind of here and there are demons from other realities, and not all demons are evil. But essentially, demons have something that they do, whereas humans do whatever they want. And so you have characters, yes, like Xander, like Dawn, like you could say Giles, Andrew. You have these characters, Fred, Gunn, Wesley, who go out of their way to do good and to be good. But you also have human characters like Lila, characters like Lindsay. You have characters like Warren. You have characters like Ethan Rain. There are all of these characters who are also human and who live on the other side of the fence. But the idea is that essentially humans are straddling that fence all the time, and you've always kind of got a chance to cross from one to the other, or you've got a chance to redeem yourself for being too far on the other side, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for what you do. Now, when you've got a world with slayers and witches and all of this good stuff, what's the point of being human? And the point is made really great by Anya in season 7, episode 21, End of Days. She and Andrew are kind of talking about how she left at the end of season 3 because she didn't want to be involved in the apocalypse. And Andrew's wondering why she doesn't just leave now. And she says, well, I guess I was kind of new to being around humans before, but now I've seen a lot more, gotten to know people, seen what they're capable of, and I guess I just realized how amazingly screwed up they all are. I mean, really, really screwed up in a monumental fashion. They have no purpose that unites them, so they just drift around, blundering through life until they die, which they all know is coming, yet every single one of them is surprised when it happens to them. They're incapable of thinking about what they want beyond the moment. They kill each other, which is clearly insane. And yet, here's the thing. When it's something that really matters, they fight. I mean, they're lame morons for fighting, but they do. They never quit. So I guess I will keep fighting too. And so that's what's important about humans. When you think about how humans banded together in the first place to drive out the old ones with their weapons and their magic. And when you think about the creation of the Slayer, humans use magic. Now, here's the thing. When you're talking about characters like Buffy and Willow, you don't really see them as human, but they are human too. Buffy is kind of a perfect expression of humanity, if you will. And so, any character within the Buffyverse potentially can use magic. All humans are capable of this. We are all connected to the Seed of Wonder, and the Seed of Wonder is magical in nature. And so, all the things that the Earth makes are essentially connected to magic. So, like, any human can use magic. We see Xander just one time talking about how not everybody can just use magic. He's like, oh, you can't just read these words and expect there to be fire, but when he reads the words, there's this fire, and he didn't even mean for it to happen. So, everyone can use magic. We even know that vampires can use magic. Demons can use magic. And so, Willow is essentially human. She is just kind of the Buffyverse's Doctor Strange. She's the Sorceress Supreme. Everyone can use magic, but for some people it comes a lot more naturally, more easily. They just seem kind of, whether it be psychologically, spiritually, and or physically evoked, they are just more naturally inclined and attuned to using magic. And so, but they are all essentially human. Anyway. But any human can use magic. And the thing about vampires is that the original vampire was an old one named Malokar. And Malokar was trying to use humans for his own army. And what he would do is he would kill them almost, and he would feed them his blood, and they became vampire. They were the first vampire. And so all vampires are kind of what happens when this demon, this evil power, is put into a dead human body, okay? Because that's essentially what it is. I mean, the vampire's body is dead. There's just a demon kind of driving what's here. The memories you leave behind, your physical presence, it's all just kind of being driven by this demon force that's essentially Malokar. And that's magical in nature, which is why we get the zompires when magic goes down, because there's no magical connection to Malokar, and so the zompires are without any kind of cognitive going on at all. And so they're just like zombie vampires, the zompires. And so, but that's what's going on, this magical connection to Malokar via the transmission of vampire blood, which is magical in nature. And so you've got this evil force in a dead body. But what happens is humans decided to fight this off, and they used magic to do so. And they took essentially what makes a demon demon, like the power of a demon, but they put it into a living body. They put it into a human who is alive still. And that has made all the difference. Because when you think about Buffy, she's not out saving the world because it's her sacred destiny and her duty. She is out saving the world because she's a part of it. She wants to be a part of this world. She has plans. Buffy's not saving the world because, oh my gosh, the world needs saving. Buffy's saving the world because she has a hair appointment at 3, and she's still got to go home and get changed before she meets Xander and Willow at the movies at 8:30. And so she needs to get this demon slaying over with because her humanity drives her. We all have this stuff that's going on in our own heads. Like, okay, if you take the very last episode, Xander, Buffy, Willow, and Giles are just standing around in the hallway and they're talking, oh, what are we going to do tomorrow? Even though they know they're probably about to die, right? And they talk about, oh, well, let's go to the mall and blah, blah, blah. They talk about buying shoes and all this mundane stuff. And Giles says, oh, the Earth is definitely doomed. And then so whatever, they don't die and they save the world and they change the world. And they're all kind of standing around looking at the crater where Sunnydale was, right? And they're like, oh, well, what are we going to do now? And Giles says, well, yeah, because the mall was actually in Cleveland, so... Because Giles is in his own head. Giles is still in his own human head thinking about jokes that he can tell. And that's where we all are. Like, we are all just in our own heads, and all of the Buffy humans have this in common. We have our own things to do, and Buffy has her own things to do. And it is essentially her humanity from which she drives her power. Okay? She is the perfect expression of being human, and that is what allows her to keep living, because she wants and appreciates being human. Never mind, I was gonna... Well, yeah, okay. And so if you think about it, in Angel Season 4, there's this group of totems called the Ratet, which were like this ancient Egyptian magical hoopla. And whatever, the Ratet are like the 5 stages of the sun while it's in the day sky. And so it goes from like dawn to dusk, right? And there are these 5 living totems of like supreme power, whatever, that represent these 5 different stages in the sun's course across the sky. And the midday totem, we find out, is Manjet. But we also find out that Manjet is human. And he says of himself that the midday totem is man, the neutral totem, the potential of every human soul. And Cordelia says, so you're just a guy then? But that's the point. All of our human characters have all of the potential in the world to be whatever they want to be and can be. You take Cordelia, for example, she went from being this bitch to being this being of supreme power that exists on some higher plane, and it's like all light and magical wonderfulness. I mean, humans in the Buffyverse rule the world because we all want something out of it, and we want to rule a little piece of it, and we will get other people, or demons, or magical hooplas, to get on our side to make it happen. But at the same time, when there's something that we all can gain from, when there's something that threatens us all, we will change the world, and we will make it so that we're on top. That's what you need to know about humans in the Buffyverse. I know I haven't gotten to my Angel and Faith Lost and Found review, like the finished part yet, but there's another issue, and I don't want to go over this last issue because not a lot happened. The stuff that happened was really good, but I'll just do it in 2 issues when the issue comes out in like 3 weeks. But next week we've got Buffy season 10, number 10, I believe. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to do a review, hopefully the weekend after Christmas. happy holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Boxing Day. Enjoy your life. Have a nice day. We'll see you next time.